thank you very much. You know, thank you again for taking some time out of your busy evening schedule to be with us to pretty much close out 2015. A lot of things happening, a lot of good things happening as well. But they, you know, before I do that, a lot of good things. Urgent thing, the hospital situation, Governor. Can you address that, please?
Yeah, again, it's been the #1 priority for our administration. There are changes I made in the very beginning of my term. First of all, I want to just first of all thank the leadership from Lee Weber and those that resigned, as well as the current membership of the board. You know, it's a non-paying job. I want to thank them for their services. I want to thank the management team and all the hard-working employees of the Guam Memorial Hospital. But the situation being as it is, you know, it is in a deep financial crisis. And now with the lack of a board quorum, it's important that I intervene. And using my executive authority, I am intervening. It's most important to build stability from the top to the bottom. So I've appointed Eloy Lizama as a member of the board. I want to thank him for graciously accepting, especially in this crisis period. This is a man that is a chief financial officer for a major corporation. He has great business acumen. He will be a big contribution, particularly when it comes to finance for the policymaking board. I'm also looking at other individuals to fill these positions. We're setting up a management advisory team headed by Bernie Artero, my chief fiscal policy advisor. Also key members of our administration dealing with finance and systems, IT, communications. So this team will be at the service of the board and management of the Guam Memorial Hospital. One thing is important. This hospital is critical. It is the only state-run hospital in Guam. It's owned by the people of Guam. It has to service everyone, whether they can pay or not. So that being said, also because of the dire financial position that it's in right now, I did believe that the current leadership just did not have the capacity, and that's why it's important for us to come in and intervene.
Now Governor, in administrations past, I know, I think it was Governor Gutierrez's administration where he stepped in. He was basically the board, the administrator, and all that. Now, because you're intervening basically on based on resignation and lack of a quorum. Now, when you step in as, I guess, the CEO or I guess the governor of Guam, right, through your Organic Act powers, will you be a one-man board then this time, or are you, you know, how's this going to work? Because we use it to go in there, you make all the decisions.
I think that the success of our government these past 5 years, as well as many agencies have just done so exemplary, is not one man. It's a team effort, and my style is using the talent that we have and injecting new talent. So you're not going to see this one-man board and one-man chief executive. This is because of a dire situation in regards to not having a quorum, and also because of the financial position of this hospital. And so with that, I'm coming in, but I'm looking forward to working with those that are currently in the board. I want to thank them for sticking on, and with the current management team, and then from there, making the necessary adjustments. And there may have to be some changes.
No, I know you have some concerns regarding the lack of communication with the CEO and the CFO not being brought together to where the CEOs are kind of making decisions without consulting the chief financial officer.
Obviously, the buck stops in the top, and whether it's a chairman or administrator, and not looking backward, but we are in a situation here which needs a governor's intervention. So, you know, because of that situation, and because of the commitment that I've made, mind you, as a governor, we've funded a new emergency room, an ICU room. We're moving forward in a labor and delivery room, a ward. We last year pumped in nearly $60 million of support, all the way up to, and being very at the top in terms of the ceiling of what legal authority I had to put money into the hospital. But be that as it may, we're in a position that we are in right now, which is quite tenuous. So that being said, you know, we have to address the issues on leadership, both in terms of the board and management. So this is something that I am looking into, and I believe we may have to make changes.
Now, one of the things that made the news last week basically is the fact that, of course, the AG came out with the opinion in regards to pay raises and all this. And one of the things that you were going to do is also said that the legislature, what the legislature has done as well, what they asked you to do, and you again help them in their situation, that also was not the right way to do it, according to the AG.
You know, there has been so much talk and bluster in this, particularly from Senator Cruz, and it goes, you know, sometimes it tends to complicate things, and of course, you know, he's always looking at some reason to call us either incompetent or crooked, and you know, I beg to disagree. I've shown respect to the senator and to the legislature. The bottom line on the issue on the pay raises. This was a law that was passed that encompassed all the government of Guam. Now, there was one class that was not taken into account, and this was those unclassified workers in Adelup. I believe that it was fair and equitable to give them the same pay raises as everybody else in government of Guam did, particularly, in fact, as I do believe that much of this turnaround that has occurred these past 5 years after what I could call 20 years of mediocrity in our finances and providing services had been corrected. And a lot of the changes that you're seeing right now as a result of hardworking folks, not only all of government of Guam, but also in Adelup. So I sought to correct it. And unfortunately, rather than putting out the checks in December, but rather on January, it caused the issues on retroactivity that the Attorney General has brought up, and we corrected it. There was no conspiracy, no criminal activity, as what unfortunately Senator Cruz keeps alluding to. It was we knew exactly what we wanted to accomplish, and we made a mistake in the processing of it, but we've corrected it. And of course, he may not like how we corrected it, but we've corrected it, and the law was not broken. Now, the issue for us moving forward is that there are some employees that left Adelup that I also don't believe that they should be penalized as well. A lot of them are working in the private sector or potentially other branches of of government. And I'm going to be looking towards how we can assuage those issues. At the same time, the Attorney General, in this discussion that was brought up by Senator Cruz, looked at how we had moved in terms of pay raises, including transference of money from the executive branch to the legislature. And in good faith, I worked with the legislature. Despite all the criticisms of Senator Cruz, I transferred $700,000 because they were either at a shortfall or a deficit to make good on those pay raises that they had put upon the legislative employees and staff.
If I'm not mistaken, Governor, I mean, we serve the legislature. Every single employee in the legislature is an unclassified employee.
Yeah, and they all got their pay raises. And so I was, again, questioning him if he was questioning our transfer authority. I was questioning the same transfer authority that his executive director, in his letter sent to us, Vince Areola, about using that transfer authority. Well, the Attorney General opined to us in these verbal discussions that was inappropriate. So with that, and I want to thank Senator Cruz for pointing these issues out and for the Attorney General to look into it. She's looked into it. And so we're going to have to get that money back. Now, understanding that I want to work with the legislature, we want to comply with the law, we're going to do it in a way where it doesn't damage their operational efficiencies and their ability to do their jobs. So we're going to do it in 11 monthly prorated installments. So again, the allotment that we released just today, we sent it to them, but we took out the $64,000.
Which will go to the hospital, right?
That will go to the hospital.
Okay.
And but of course, you know, if it causes any major issues with them, I look forward to working with them to see how we can correct it. It may have to be done legislatively.
There we go. Okay. We're going to take a quick break, pay some bills, and we'll be right back with the Governor of Guam, Eddie Calvo. Be right back.